Hi, it's Margaret, and today I have a little bit of a reveal for you. And from the title of this video, you probably know what that is. It is the marigold snail roll. Now, before I show you what they look like now and get to transplanting them, I wanted to also give you an update on the sweet peas that I did. Not much of an update. They are looking really, really bad. Once again, I have not succeeded with sweet peas. I think I may need to get a sweet pea mentor or something. I don't know. But I just can't seem to get them right. So I will go show you what they look like in just a minute. But before I do that, let's take a look at what the marigolds look like now, shall we? Ah, pretty good, eh? This is, I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting, but I definitely was not expecting this. Now it's weird because it looks like I have one of mainly one variety here and then a completely different variety because it's quite a bit taller than everything else. But that is just fine. So what I'm going to do today is I am going to unroll this one, and I have a feeling it will be easier to do than my first time unrolling when I was using, I can't even remember. I think it was the parchment paper for these guys. So that first time unrolling was pretty much a nightmare, and they turned out fine, obviously. So hooray on that. But we'll see what happens now that I use the bubble wrap. And I have a feeling it's going to be a lot smoother. And then I am going to get these into the ground. I'll be planting some of them in my raised beds, and the rest are actually going to be going out into our front garden area. And they are going to be going into a bed where I'm planting primarily annuals this year, because I am not ready yet to put perennials into that particular bed. It's still very weedy and stuff like that since I sheet mulched it last year or a year and a half ago. I don't know. It's just a really badly weedy bed. So I don't want to put anything permanent in there other than the few shrubs and trees that are in there already. So annuals is what I'm putting in there, and that's why I needed a whole whack of something, and marigolds is what it is. I also have a lot of other annuals that I'm going to be putting in there as well that I grew from seed, but today it's all about these guys. So let's get started. So here I am at one of the raised beds I'm going to plant a couple of the marigolds in. And here are the marigolds. I am going to unroll them now and see how that goes. I'm only going to be planting, I think, I don't know, 4 or 6 in this raised bed area, and then I'm going to go to the border along the front of the house and do a good chunk of the rest there. So let's see how this goes, shall we? Okay. Just get these ties off. Ooh, ooh, look at the roots. Lots and lots of roots on that. I think that I probably could have transplanted these out a week or so ago, but okay, so here we go. Wow, that is a lot smoother. Not a big surprise, I guess, than when I was using either the parchment or the wax paper. Okay, so here I see a bunch of stems here. So I guess what I'm going to do is, just like I would if they were grouped together in a cell pack, I'm just going to gently pull them apart, trying to keep as many roots as possible. Now I'm going to wrap this back up because I don't want those exposed roots to dry out, especially because it's rather sunny right now. So I'll put that back in there. And now here are these guys here. So let me just tease these apart. There's that one. There's a little tiny one here. Ooh, these are hard to pull apart actually because they're so close together. That, even that though, has the tiniest little bit of root there, and that should actually do okay. And oh boy, this is hard to pull apart. I'm wondering if I should have thinned them, but it was hard to see in the snail roll. I'm just going to go like this. Oh, all that came out. I'm not sure which roots belong to that, but let's just leave it. Actually, I'm going to go like this. There's that, and then these two here. So still enough roots. Okay, working quickly because we don't want those roots to dry out. I think I'm going to plant 3 of them in this bed here. So, I mean, this is the quickest part, right? I'm going to do them maybe about a foot apart. In my raised beds, marigolds get quite big because this is a very rich soil that's been amended year in and year out. So I think I'll do 2. Actually, you know what? I'll do this little tiny one here as well. There we go. Whoops. Kind of pulled that one out. There we go. Okay. And there. So that looks good there. Now these 2 here, I am going to plant in another bed. Same type of thing, kind of on the corners. So I'm going to just put this here. So once again, let me just show you. This is not a lot of root, but I think it should be fine. Marigolds, I find, are quite resilient, so it should be fine even with that little bit of root. They should probably get going pretty quickly. Okay, so I need a few more for this spot here. I'm thinking maybe I'm going to put 3 in here. So let's just take those. Okay, actually, I'll only do 2. And that's about it for the raised beds. So now let's go to the front border and take a quick look at the area that I'm going to plant the rest of these in. Here is the area that I am going to be planting up with annuals, and it is a very weedy area. You can't tell because I actually just weeded it yesterday, but there's a lot of things like bindweed and really kind of aggressive weeds in this area. So that's why I don't want to quite yet put perennials in here and then have years of trying to get rid of the weeds amongst a bunch of perennials. So for the time being, this year anyway, I am sticking to annuals. I already have a grass in here. This is called Fluffy. This is a pennisetum here. It's an annual grass. And you can see it's kind of spreading out in there. I saw it at William Dam last year in the trial garden and it looked amazing. That's the only thing at this point that I have planted in here other than the shrubs and the trees. I am planting a whole slew of annuals in this area, all of which I grew from seed. The first ones though to go in are these marigolds. So let me just set the camera up, and I think the very first kind of clump, I'm only doing I think 3 kind of groupings of marigolds, and in this area here is going to be the first one. This area here, what I'm going to do is for each marigold I plant, I'm just going to add some of this. And what this is compost, and I did put a little slow release fertilizer in there, mixed it in. So each time I plant a marigold, I'll just put a little bit of this in each planting hole. And I'm also going to be watering it in with some organic kelp fertilizer. So as you can see, I'm not planting it in the mulch. I'm pulling the mulch away and then planting them in the actual soil. and then I pull the mulch back towards the plant. I don't pile the mulch on top of the stems, but I'm also not being precious to make sure that it's not totally touching the stems or anything like that. And we are done. So I did give them a drink of the fertilizer, but I didn't use too much because we've just had quite a lot of rain and the ground is pretty much sodden right now. So just a tiny bit for them to drink up. These tiny little ones at the end here, I did have a couple in each grouping that didn't have a whole lot of roots to them, but I threw them in anyway just to see. They might take root or not, but even if they end up dying, there are still some nice sized marigolds in that spot. And this is the last grouping here. And you see I put that really tall one that I'm not exactly sure what that is in the back there. And then I grouped all the other ones towards the front, including a few of those teeny tiny ones. So we'll see how those do. Now let's head back to the raised bed area so I can show you how the sweet peas are doing, or how they're not doing. Here are the sweet peas. And while they may look okay, it's not like they look dead or anything like that, my concern is that they're really not growing at all. I think I planted them out here 3 weeks ago, maybe even a little bit longer, and they've kind of just sat here and not done much of anything. I'm not sure whether that's perhaps due to the root disturbance, because ripping them apart out of the snail roll really was probably a bit traumatic on them, or if it's something else. I'm really not sure. I have this beautiful trellis here that I put up. You can see all my seed starting stuff that I have to get into the ground still. And yeah, they're just kind of sitting here, not even on the first rung of the jute that I twined around there. I do have these little guys here along the edge as well that are not on a trellis, and these are called Little Sweetheart, and these are actually miniature sweet peas. I think they only grow to be 10 inches or something like that. So they don't need a trellis. They, again, are doing basically nothing because they look more or less the same as when I first planted them out a few weeks ago. So anyway, we'll see where that ends up. I also have here the cup and saucer vine. That was quite frankly languishing in the pot. I think I planted it much too early. I easily could have sowed the seeds maybe a couple of weeks later. It was really sitting in the pot for way too long, and it was in a larger pot. It was in a 5-inch pot. So I just transplanted it outside, I think a few days ago, like, no more than a week ago, I guess. So it's just settling in now, and I'm hoping that it recovers and it starts sending up some nice growth. And that's it for today. So honest opinion is I am thoroughly impressed. If you need to grow a ton of something, especially I guess something that's easy to grow and that doesn't mind a little bit of root disturbance, then this is not a bad way to go. Absolutely. I'll definitely be doing it again when I need to grow that large amount of, one thing or another. Sweet peas, I don't know. I am going to hold off judgment on that. I've never had luck with sweet peas, even using traditional methods. So I'm not ready to blame this particular method on my lack of success there. And that is it. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.